We are being lived by the source. That is the fundamental understanding of Advaita. And that can be summed up in a very simple anecdote which Ramesh used to use pretty often in his earlier writings. And that was of a young boy who was constantly sneezing. Achoo, achoo, achoo. You know, I have a cousin who sneezes like this. It just doesn't stop once it starts. So the mother got a bit bugged and she told the boy, "Will you stop sneezing?" And he looked at her and he said, "But mummy, I am not sneezing. It is sneezing me." That is what is meant by being lived, because that applies to all aspects of life. We are being lived by the source. Our entire life is made up of our conditioning from the day we were born, conditioning at home, at school, at church, mosque or temple, and our genetics, our DNA, based on which life's experiences started showing themselves up and we started reacting and responding to situations. So many factors were involved in our formative years on the basis of which we think and act and respond and react. None of those were in our control. This is what is meant by we are being lived. Further on, we did not create the ego itself. It is the source which created the ego. From birth, from the moment of birth, the ego is not born. The ego comes in a bit later at the age of 1.5 years to 2. When we realize we are separate entities and the baby realizes it can command attention and attention comes and it feels now that, okay, this is me. So even the ego is not created by us. And we try to unravel all the problems of the ego. That is where the correction needs to take place, because it is the sense of doership, the sense of ownership of our actions, our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions. That is where the thinking mind starts setting in and taking over, assuming that is me. If all these were left to their natural flow, emotions the natural flow, suffering the natural flow, actions the natural flow, without the me stepping in and claiming ownership of each and every event, that would translate as being lived.